Welcome back to Dinar Community Channel. What if I told you the biggest financial event of your lifetime is already happening, and you're not supposed to know? Behind locked vaults and classified meetings, the global elite are preparing for a currency reset that will rewrite the rules of money forever. This isn't speculation, this is strategy. And by the time the public finds out, it'll already be too late. Want to know what really happens before the world's currencies are flipped? Step inside the vault, before the doors close. The concept of a currency reset has long intrigued economists, investors, and even governments. It's a term shrouded in mystery, often associated with economic upheaval, geopolitical shifts, and hidden agendas. But what actually takes place behind the scenes, inside the vaults of financial power, before such a monumental event? What actions are taken by central banks, global institutions, intelligence networks, and major commercial banks in preparation for a reset that can impact trillions of dollars and billions of lives? Contrary to popular belief, currency resets are not impulsive or reactionary measures. They are highly strategic and meticulously orchestrated events involving months, if not years, of covert planning, confidential meetings, and multi-agency coordination. From the backrooms of global monetary institutions to the restricted access levels of commercial banks, a currency reset is not just an economic pivot, it is a geopolitical chess move. And those who understand its anatomy are better positioned to navigate the aftermath with clarity and foresight. A currency reset typically occurs when the existing monetary system no longer reflects current economic realities or when it collapses under the weight of unsustainable debt, inflation, or systemic imbalance. Historically, resets have come in many forms. The end of the gold standard, the creation of the Bretton Woods system, the Eurozone integration, or more covert shifts like the recent trend toward digital currencies. In each case, what appears to the public as a sudden policy shift is in fact the end result of a long and complex process initiated behind closed doors. The first stage of any currency reset begins with internal assessments, classified reports, audits of central bank reserves, and top-secret economic models run through government AI systems. These models simulate how a new monetary structure would function under different conditions: interest rates, inflation levels, trade balances, commodity prices, and geopolitical pressures. Financial analysts, intelligence officers, and economic historians are brought in to evaluate vulnerabilities and project long-term consequences. Once early warning signs flash red, whether it be hyperinflation, mass currency devaluation, sovereign defaults, or an approaching debt ceiling, the next step involves quiet coordination among key stakeholders. Representatives from global bodies like the IMF, BIS Bank for International Settlements, and World Bank are often consulted, albeit unofficially. These entities serve as the architects of the global monetary framework and frequently act as intermediaries between nation-states. Through encrypted communications and off-record meetings at economic forums like Davos, an initial consensus is formed. At this point, central banks activate confidential emergency protocols. These include the rebalancing of reserves, gold repatriation, large-scale asset swaps, and currency hoarding. Vaults are double-checked. Reserve assets are silently moved across borders through high-security transport networks. Some countries increase gold purchases aggressively, while others shed toxic debt or repatriate foreign-held reserves. Notably, these actions rarely appear in the mainstream financial news until weeks or months later. Simultaneously, the intelligence community begins monitoring for potential leaks, public panic, or geopolitical sabotage. In fact, agencies like the CIA, MI6, and Mossad often collaborate with financial oversight bodies to suppress damaging disclosures and manage the narrative. Media outlets may be fed red herrings or incentivized to focus attention on unrelated issues. It's a delicate dance of control and misdirection to ensure the system remains stable during this volatile period. Major commercial banks also play a crucial, though largely invisible, role in this phase. They are often briefed under strict non-disclosure agreements about impending regulatory changes or shifts in valuation standards. Select clients, typically those with high net worth accounts or institutional holdings, may receive cryptic advisories or pressure to restructure portfolios. Currency traders are monitored closely, and in some cases, trading activities are temporarily halted under the guise of technical upgrades. Inside the bank's internal systems, coding changes are implemented to handle new exchange rate protocols or account for anticipated valuation swings. At the same time, software engineers upgrade their secure platforms to accommodate potential spikes in digital traffic, especially if the reset involves the launch of a central bank digital currency (CBDC). In recent years, we've seen experimental pilot programs for digital currencies in countries like China, Nigeria, and Sweden, indicating that the groundwork is already in motion globally. Physical security is heightened. Vaults in key locations, especially those holding national gold reserves or sensitive documentation, are placed under military guard or given locked status, meaning they cannot be accessed without top-level government clearance. This level of security is not just for assets, but for sensitive data, records of exchange rates, contract clauses, and legal instruments that could be weaponized or leaked. Simultaneously, policymakers begin drafting new legal frameworks to support the coming changes. These may include emergency fiscal policies, modified central banking mandates, updated tax codes, or even new treaty language among allied nations. Often, these documents are quietly prepared and pre-approved long before public announcements are made. When the time comes, they can be rolled out within hours, giving the appearance of swift action, though they were months in the making. Behind closed doors, private wealth advisors, hedge fund managers, and multinational corporations also get wind of the shift. While they may not have full visibility into the scope of the reset, they begin adjusting their strategies, offloading liabilities, consolidating cash reserves, and seeking safe haven assets like gold, silver, and rare commodities. The wealthy tend to move before the headlines catch up, guided by subtle cues and private briefings. Another lesser-known dimension of a currency reset is its psychological engineering. Governments and central banks understand that a public panic could collapse markets before the reset even begins. To avoid this, information is released in carefully measured doses. Central banks use cryptic language in their speeches, terms like monetary realignment, financial harmonization, or adjusted policy tools to prepare insiders without alarming the masses. Media narratives are subtly adjusted to normalize the coming changes, portraying them as routine updates or modernization efforts. Meanwhile, back inside the vaults, high-level simulations continue. These are not just theoretical exercises, they are real-time war games that factor in political unrest, cyberattacks, market crashes, and even military intervention. Red teams are assigned to test the system's weaknesses, while blue teams reinforce firewalls and emergency response protocols. Even natural disasters and pandemics are simulated to test the resilience of the reset timeline. As the reset date approaches, more aggressive financial mechanisms are deployed. This may include freezing certain offshore accounts, halting capital flows, or temporarily suspending currency convertibility. These break glass measures are only triggered if signs of systemic failure become evident. In 2008, we saw glimpses of these tools during the global financial crisis, though a full reset was ultimately postponed. Today, these tools are far more advanced, and far more secretive. When the official announcement finally arrives, whether through a press release, a central bank address, or a presidential speech, it is presented as a necessary, even inevitable, correction. The talking points emphasize stability, fairness, modernization, and inclusion. In reality, the reset disproportionately benefits those who prepared in advance. Fiat currency holders see value erosion, while those with assets in precious metals, real estate, or strategic commodities often come out ahead. For everyday citizens, the reset may manifest as a change in the currency's appearance, a recalibration of salaries and prices, or new rules about foreign exchange limits. But behind the scenes, entire paradigms have shifted. The debt structure of nations is altered. New trade agreements are signed. Emerging markets either gain prominence or sink into chaos depending on how well they adapted. In the aftermath, new institutions may be born. Digital currency exchanges backed by central banks, regional monetary unions, or oversight boards that dictate policy from a supranational level. Privacy rights often take a hit during these transitions, as the push for transparency enables new forms of surveillance. Taxes may be imposed on previously untaxed assets. Citizens are encouraged, or forced, to convert their holdings into new digital formats under the promise of stability and convenience. Yet even as the dust settles, the full scope of what transpired inside the vault remains obscured. The architects of the reset retreat into silence. Classified documents remain sealed. Most citizens move on, unaware of how close the system came to the edge, or how deeply the reset altered the financial DNA of the world. The question, then, is not whether another reset is coming. It's whether you'll be one of the few who saw it forming, reading between the lines, watching the signs, and preparing not just financially but mentally and strategically. Because while resets may start inside the vault, their consequences ripple far beyond it, reshaping wealth, power, and the future of entire generations. Like and subscribe for more videos.